Jim's, keep it going just like 2 more minutes and then we're gonna get started, okay? Thanks.
Talking away, I don't know what to say. I'll say it anyway. Today is another day to find you shying away. I've been coming for your love, okay? Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone. So needless to say, I'm all saying, but I'll be stumbling away, slowly learning that life is okay. Say after me, it's no better to be safe than sorry. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone in a day or all the things that you say, is it life or just to play my worries away? You're all the things I've got to remember. You're shying away. I'll be coming for you anyway. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me. I'll be gone. Take on me, take on me.
Do you want to start, Jeremy?
Just give us 1 more minute. Just working on one thing. I see Jim and I think Jeff's getting on, so just give us 1 more minute.
Okay.
Jim, I see you there. Roach, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. And then Tandra
I'll flip my
Bowers,
camera
aka
on a
my
minute.
wife, you there? What'd you say, Jim?
I said I'll flip my camera on, just finishing something up.
Gotcha. Yep. Jeff, are you there? All right, Jeff's hopping on. He just sent me a text. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna give you some brief background and then we're gonna get going with this. So my name's Jeremy Bowers. I run KW Philly, KW Mainline. If you work with me, you already know what I do. If you don't, my role is to bring on new people. My role is to help agents grow their business and think of big thinking ideas as the CEO of the company. I do these panels because I believe most trainings, most classes are too much of this and not enough sharing. and we don't need to speak at you. I want to bring other agents that are experts in these right now and crushing it. And I want you to share the best practices. If you're a person watching this today and you're not where you want to be, this is your time to ask questions. I'm going to monitor the chat line, and I'd like you to use the chat line. I have one rule. There is no dumb question. And I think you guys heard that in school. I asked a lot of dumb questions back in the day, still do, but there is no such thing. So ask the question. I have 3 good people in here that I know, and we'll make sure you guys get your questions answered. 2, we're all going through the same frustrations. I've managed almost 4 to 5 billion in this range. I'm almost at the 5 billion. I've never seen anything as crazy as this in my life, ever. I've been doing this for 18 years. So if you guys feel like you're going a little crazy out there, you're normal. And if you're not crazy, you need to get busier, because that's what's going on in the marketplace right now. Number 2, and last thing is this, is on that crazy thing on the market, is we're going to be talking about different things, what they're doing today to win listings. It's the most competitive market I've ever seen. And I want you guys to take 1 or 2 things away today. Write your notes, take 1 or 2 things and implement it. If you don't work at KW Affiliate, KW Mainline, and you wonder why your brokerage doesn't have it, you need to have a call with me. My number is 215-370-9107, or just Google my name. You'll find me. We should chat. I will help you your current company, but then I obviously want you to come over with us and help you grow your business. All right. In the chat line, before we get started, this is your time to speak up. Drop in the chat line what you want to get out of today. Drop in the chat line. I have 3 listing agents on here today, from 15 million to 100 plus million in business. Drop in the chat line what you want to get out today. We got a solid 43 minutes together. All right, there's 43 on here, and we got 1 comment. So another, there they start coming. Okay, good. And if you don't have your camera on, please put it on. It's extremely hard running these trainings without looking at your beautiful faces. I really, really appreciate it. I know you're all busy. Second, I want to call you out. You need to be paying attention for 1 hour. You deserve this, 43 minutes to be exact. Email is always going to be there. Your text message is always going to be there. Focus on just listings right now. I appreciate that. So can I get 6 new listings in 3 months? How to get an open house clients to sign with you, to get more listings, I want to know how to earn $10 million in sales this year. It's just going to throw this out there. How do you get yourself out there with clients who are skeptical because you're a new agent and they want to see something more experience? Hey, Jims, email Jeff the email for the link for this. I already did, but he's having trouble. If you could do that, would be great. Do you have to pay for leads? How do you work differently with luxury clients? How to short clients if they sell, if they're able to find a new home in this crazy market? Kate Christie, that is a fantastic question. And I'm going to be doing a direct mail piece on that, the Tandra Center of Influence of Mine, on that one. I believe that topic is not brought up enough. How to work with a for sale by owner in this marketplace? Whew, I got no answer. I'm just teasing. We'll go over that. What is your RSP follow-up process? Martin, great question. We're going to talk about that today. How to get Inc. social economic level client. I honestly don't understand what that means. Dora, drop what you mean on that a little bit more.
Increase, Jeremy. So my price point tends to be in the 200s. Like
Gotcha.
I want to, right, all right.
Raise your sales price. Gotcha. Okay, I'm on the same page here. What are the best way to pay for leads that have good phone numbers and emails? Okay, good one, Brian. Anybody else? Tandra, you're on an email with him if you want to send that to Quentin, or it's jeff@jeffquinton.com, Tandra. Thank you.
Okay.
Tricks of getting listing appointments and then winning those listings over agents. How to charge more commissions to a client. Jims, are you still on this call or did you leave me?
I'm still here. Jeff is already here.
Oh, Jeff's here? Okay, where's his ugly mug? There he is. There he is. What's up, buddy?
Pretty boy. Hey.
All right. Okay. All right. So we got all 3 people here now. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Jim, Jeff, and Tandra. I want to have an open mastermind today on these questions that people are asking. How to get open house clients to sign with you. Do you guys have any suggestions on that? If anybody wants to speak up on that.
I'll jump in, Jeremy, and kind of kick off, and I'll kind of relate. I haven't personally been doing too many open houses myself, but what I'm really preaching to my clients right now is ultimately, or my agents basically, is ultimately figuring out the value that these buyers need when they're coming into open houses. They're, in this marketplace, when people are out and they're popping into open houses, they're obviously active shoppers and active buyers, but there's something that they're not getting right now, which has them at their open house by themselves rather than walking through and scheduling a private showing with an agent. So my agents, anytime they're stepping into an open house, we're preaching to provide value. Figuring out exactly, peeling across, I guess, like the layers of an onion, peeling across what these people are exactly looking for and finding how you can bring value, whether that's upcoming listings that an agent in your office happens. I know, across the KW Philly and KW Mainline group, we do a great job at, KW gets it first. So having those similar listings in an open house that you're sitting in and knowing that you have upcoming inventory and giving them an exclusive opportunity to get into a property before it goes to the marketplace. It's different things along those lines. Every agent starts out doing open houses and just sits them and just says, fill out the information. I hope you like the house. Like, you're not going to convert there. It's having that dialogue, bringing these people value, understanding the market, knowing what's sold on the street, what's sold around the area. It's just truthfully just bringing different value and a different opinion than every other open house that these agents are sitting in. So typically in the opens too, you're seeing, I don't want to say the least experienced agents, but it's the easiest way to pick up quick and free leads is by sitting open houses. I used to sit 6 of them a weekend for, pretty much a year and a half until, I was able to grow my business to where it was. But what I started to figure out is when I really started bringing that value and giving them different information is really when I started to be able to convert. And when I was sending text messages, phone calls, following up, I was getting a higher response rate because I was actually opening dialogue and actually having conversations to push after.
Jim, are you crazy? You did 6 a weekend?
Every weekend for about 18 months.
And how much business will you do this year?
We're on pace. I'll do about 140 million in volume this year.
What was that number?
140 million.
Just sounds good, buddy. Just sounds good. And how long have you been doing it?
Full time, about 4 years.
Cool. I freaking
That's
love
even crazy, ain't it, Jared?
And when you originally met us, you had a full-time sales job and you were a realtor, correct?
Yeah. So I was full time. I was in an outside sales position. I met Jeremy at Coldwell Banker, signed with him immediately there, put a lot of trust in him, and he rode me until I quit my job. And I called him Thanksgiving Eve, nervous, anxious, but coached me through it. And that was the stuff that was the things that we really implemented from day one. Was you can't outperform work ethic. I mean, that's plain and simple. Every single day, I'm typically one of the first people in here. I'm typically one of the last people out. So it really comes down to your work ethic and actually figuring out what you can do and how you can relate and, what the value. I mean, it's really just simply in a market like this, it's just bringing value to people, thinking outside the box. There's 10,000 realtors just in KW in the area. There's, probably another 10,000 in the marketplace. What makes you stand out compared to everybody else? What's going to make these people answer these phone calls? Figure that out and, use that to your expertise.
So, hey, Tandra, can you put the, Fido away? We decided to get a mini dachshund and this thing literally thinks it's a Great Dane. I just don't get it. I don't know whose idea that was. Anyways, so I want to add one thing. I want to go to Jeff. Tandra takes care of Fido. Is Jim, what would you say to someone if they're watching this today and they're part-time or they feel like they're doing a couple of different things? I remember when I got that phone call. I was on 1401 Walnut outside on the sidewalk and you told me I'm out and you were making great money. I really want to bring this up to people today. What recommendation would you give them, like why your business exploded so quick on just doing one focus where you could easily, you were doing that 5 hours a week. Like what tip would you give them?
I think 2 things. One thing we really talked about, big thing that it's always stuck with me that me and you talked about was surrounding myself with people that I wanted to build and mimic my business after, when I came in the office, there was agents that were doing $5 to $10 million in volume, figuring out how I can even just get in front of these people, go to lunch with them, surround myself with them, start picking up their habits. And I've carried that with me forever. So, once I achieved that level, I went and figured out, all right, I got to start talking to $50 million producers. So I started hanging out with them, talking to them, picking up their tips and tricks. And, now I'm doing, now I'm talking to the 100 million, the 500 million, anybody like that. I just want to keep thinking bigger. So I would definitely say surround yourself with people who are at a position that you want to be at and figuring out their habits and their skill sets and what they do every single day and implement that into your life. And that was really I forget what the other thing I was going to say is, but that's really truthfully what I started to do. I started having those conversations, talking to people, figuring out what they did, how they were successful, and what I can put into my business and what I want to, what I really ultimately want my life to be like. I'm big now on building that life by design. I don't want to work, 15-hour days every day for the rest of my life. So I'm trying to figure out what I need to put in place now to alleviate that and take some of that off my life and off my plate. So it's just figuring out, surround yourself with the right people that have had those successes. And we say in real estate, it's R&D, it's not research and development, it's rip off and duplicate. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's people out there doing it at a much higher level than you are. Just figure out what they're doing and how they're doing it and do it, plain and simple.
I'm going to drop one thing and then give it to Jeff and Tandra. If you guys aren't in the office today, which I'm leaving as soon as this meeting's over, and I have not had a chance to get out of my house yet today because I've been back to back to back, you got to get to the offices. You want to, Kate, I see right now, Jim just dropped a golden nugget. You're in the office. You got to get the office, get your shots, feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, stay home. But the bottom line is you got to get around people. Your net worth is your network. You can belong to Lifetime Fitness. If you don't go in there and work out, it doesn't mean anything. I need to drop 10 pounds right now. You know where I'm at every day at 6 o'clock right now? My brother needs to drop 15, 2 houses over. You know why? He has a beautiful gym in his garage. We weren't using enough. My butt needs to get in there and work out. I could have the most beautiful thing if you're not in there. You guys have Mike McCann. You got me. You got Onesti. You got Jim Roach. You got all these different people in our company. You got to get around them. And what's going to happen is you're going to fire it up to prospect more, to lead generate more because you're around them. Quentin, I've known you a long time, dude. You and I are both strange birds. We're different guys, right? One of the things I noticed about you and me is I'll never forget that meeting that you and I went to in New York, and you pushed me. You pushed me a lot through my life. And one of the things was, Jared, we're going to New York today. I'm like, I'm not going to New York. It's Tuesday night. I'm busy. And you got me around Real Geeks, sold his company for $50 million. You got me around Ben Kinney, the largest probably realtor in the United States of America, which me and Noah flew out and saw him last year, right? Doing whatever he does a year, 10, 20, $30 million. He owns Brivity, right? You doing over $100 million in your real estate development, everything you've done. And then fourth, there was another person from Tennessee. What tip or what advice would you give on any one of those two things we just talked about to help people with that?
Yeah, no. So thanks for having me. I think that the key to greatness is exposure. And I think that it does definitely matter what Jim was saying and you're saying about, who you surround yourself with matters. And, we tend to hang out with people that, that sometimes aren't always the best to hang out with. That's going to get us to the next level, right? And I've had to make some choices, in my life on who I want to spend time with. Now I've got my buddies from high school and so forth that I hang out, but I don't hang out with them a lot, right? Because they're just not going in the same direction that I'm going in. So I like to spend more time with agents masterminding and those are doing a lot more than I am, just to be exposed around that. They say that, you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with is going to be the average of your income, right? So, and I think that matters. Getting into the office, that's one big proponent I've always been of, is being in the office, surrounded by others, listening, masterminding, just being around that environment will push you. And you guys have an incredible environment with some major, incredible players and producers there.
You remember I would drive down sometimes. I would prospect with you in Ocean City, right? You're out of Ocean City, you're at the Jersey Shore, right? And we would prospect for 3 hours, tell these guys what you did prospecting wise, and that you've done this as good as anybody I ever met in my life. Tell me, walk in the office, what's your setup like?
Yeah. So, I mean, our environment set up, it's pretty set up so that all you do is lead generate. It's not really set up in any other to do anything else. And what I mean by that is each of our desks, they're stand-up desks. There are no chairs, right? There's no stools. It's just completely stand up. So if someone's going to come work on our team, one of the first questions is, can you stand up all day and make phone calls? Because that's ultimately what you're going to do. You're going to be lead generating, standing up. If you need to sit, it's not a place for you. Yeah, now we have a conference room you can go in and sit and work from if you need a break or whatever. But the reality is, from the time you enter that into the office, to give you the daily routine is 8:15 huddle call, 8:15 to 8:30 huddle call, going over three things. What's your goal right now annually? Where are you so far for the month, within the month? And then what's your daily commitment? At 8:30 to 9, everyone's going to practice. They're going to role play. 9 to noon, everyone's on the phone prospecting. They're at their stand-up desks. In front of them, they have a script, basically a flip chart with all their scripts on a flip chart. And then in front of them on the wall is all the objection handlers. There's 2 phones and they're corded in. So there's their headsets, a double dual headset that are corded in, and they're not fancy where there's this, cordless and you can walk all around the place. They're corded in. The reason why they're corded in is we want agents to be at their stations, at their desk. Like, we don't want them walking around. We want them completely focused. So it's an environment that's there. All the incoming phone calls get directed back to a receptionist at the market center. We've got our dream boards up. I'm just happen to bring mine home. This is one of them. So it looks like this. You know what I mean? We have our dream boards and so forth on the walls that are there. And, there's music kick in, and it's an environment that, it's just conducive to just lead generating, and there's nothing else not to do.
So the next question is how to get more listings. Tandra, let's talk to you. Let's take it back to you.
So
I have a couple of comments right now. People saying it's really bad that you're Jeremy's husband, but I deleted those comments real quick, so I don't know if anybody picked up on that. Here's the question for you. If someone wants to earn $10 million a year in sales volume, right? I want to know how to earn $10 million in sales volume. Tell us what you're doing right now. You're a good example. You'll probably do $20 million this year. You're a mother.
Yeah.
You run the family. You're my backbone, right? You have your personal life. What tips or what advice would you give them to, a couple simple tips to get their listings up and to close over 10 million? What would you tell them?
yeah, I think that number one is really just setting your schedule and sticking to it, and time block exactly what you're going to do on a daily basis. So from 8 to 10, if you've got calls to make, then do it. Don't let someone else hijack your time. And then if you feel like you want to,
hold on, let's talk about that. Can you dive in that a little bit? How hard is that?
It's really hard. Yeah. Because I think that, especially if you have to manage, clients that are asking you questions, and it's reactive when we get a text message or an email to answer it right away. You have to have a schedule of when you're going to do those things. And also hiring leveraged people to help you get to those goals at the right time. When I first started out, I had partnered with an agent that was similar, like myself. We were new, but we wanted to hold ourselves accountable. And we called each other every morning, 2 or 3 times a week. And we would role play with each other before we hit the phone, so that she was my accountability partner. Who are you calling to today? Or, do you want to role play? You have a listing appointment. So just really getting your mindset from the beginning of your day set, working out in the morning. Then I work out, take my kid to school, and then I'm hitting the phones or I'm sending text messages to my sphere. I get a lot of business from the people I know or past clients. So just because you've sold them a house recently doesn't mean you stop talking to them. You check in and say, hey, I have another client that's looking for a house in your neighborhood that we got you in. Have you heard of anything? Like, you have to keep in touch with people, but also have a system in place to talk with them. So every day we have 20 names of people that are in my database for me to talk to. And then we just keep going on rotation. Our database is huge. And if you don't have a system to keep in touch with that database, then someone else is going to call them. So, you know, I have an assistant that's helping me with mailers to get areas that I am focused on as far as my farming areas. So mailers, door knocking, phone calls. That's basically what we're doing.
So real quick on that, how hard, I want people to understand this. I want to drive this home. This is very, very important. How hard is it to stay on? Quentin, I already know your answer. You're like a freaking machine. And you're one of the best I've ever seen. Tandra, how hard is it to stay on schedule?
Really hard.
You guys understand this. This is normal what you're going through if you don't feel you're on schedule right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially when you're working with buyers and you're trying to get them into a house and you have this small window of time. Oh gosh, if I don't get them in today, then they're going to miss out. And, you know, you're trying to manage their schedule and your schedule. You have to be proactive when you see when a listing comes up and you say, okay, what's going to work in my schedule? And then what's going to work in their schedule? So just setting the right expectations with people is number one. And then number two is, you know, making sure that you have someone every day saying, you know, you shouldn't be doing that if you're doing the wrong thing. Check in twice a day with somebody. Have you done what you need to do? If not, then you have to put a consequence in place, whatever it is.
So here's the takeaways that I got from you. Number one, schedule. Number two, you need to focus on priorities. Number three, eliminate distractions, which is very, very hard, right? Mm-hmm. And fourth, you got to be picking up the phone. People are not going to call you. Like everybody thinks, Bowers, you guys are growing these companies. Mainline's second in America in growth and Philly's top 16. Guess what? Barely anybody calls me. Some of you guys are guests on this call. You don't call me. I got to send you emails. I got to text you. I got to call you. Everybody has to do that. Yeah. Am I pissed today? I sent an email out that's misspelled. Yeah, I screwed up. That's my fault. You know what? But guess what? I have over 57 people on this call and most leadership and most groups aren't doing anything and aren't putting these things together, right? You got to put yourself out there. You don't, I've been doing this 18 years. I'm going to fail every day. I'm going to keep on messing up something. But I tell you what, I'm going to keep on building some blocks and build some big, big companies. Same thing with you guys. You guys got to understand, keep doing that. All of us are going through the same struggles. Next question. How do we sell against listing agents with dominant market share in high-priced suburban markets? Open it to any of you. How do you sell against listing agents with dominant market share in high-priced suburban markets?
Use your statistics of your brokerage, not just yourself. We're doing X amount of dollars as in Keller Williams main line. You don't have to just focus on what you're doing, and talk about those listings that you might, working with us, we have listings off market. They may not even hit the market, so it's not all just what you do, it's what your office does. And ask for, if you're trying to get into a market, if you know somebody that is in your office, that you offer to sit open houses for that person.
Quentin, what would you say, role play expert? What would you say on that? Hey, Jeff, you don't have enough market share in this marketplace. What would your rebuttal be?
Yeah, I would go with, again, you're always going to use the statistics of the market center. You can use the statistics even as a realtor. I mean, you can certainly say we have sold, right? As being part of the realtor community, realtor association, you can always say that we have sold and bring in the track record. You can just come in and say, obviously what I'm hearing you say is track record is important to you. So let me just share with you all the homes that we have sold. And then you just bring up all the homes that are market center sold if you want to get more just a KW mainline, whatever it is, and just bring in a list of all those homes, right? And you can say we have, whatever it may be. So, or even if it's not even a KW listing, it could be just the community. It's okay. You've reserved that right to do that. So I would definitely use those and then show, like, people don't want to hear, they want to see. So show them what the market center has done or what, the realtors have done in the area and say, we have. And then I would just go into, with an objection, certainly say, well, what I'm hearing you say is you just want to get top dollar for your property. Is that correct?
There we go,
Right.
dude.
And you know, and just level shift it from, is it about that, you know, I don't see you have marketing share, to about more about, do they actually want to, what do they want to really, well, what is it that they want? They want to get their home sold. They want to get top dollar. So I'm going to level shift them. Obviously, what I'm hearing you say is you just want to get your home sold for absolute top dollar. Is that correct? Well, then obviously you and I need to get together so I can show you my marketing plan, and just level shift it out from what they're saying to really what they want.
So Jeff just dropped a golden bomb, golden nugget, right? Get ready. Level shift. Most times a human being says one thing, they don't mean it. Most people come off as cocky. They're not cocky. They just lack confidence. And people just presume, and Tandra says this all the time to me, right? You notice, right? Say this, is we assume things on people. It's normally what it is. So Jeff basically did appreciate a firm and gave him options, and he just level shifted with that person. And most time it's not about the market share. It's about what, Jeff? What did you say?
It's about them getting their home sold for top dollar, you know, for them netting the most in the least amount of time. You got to keep in mind, guys, sellers. I mean, look, we see it happen all the time where, you know, there's agents that list homes in these neighborhoods or areas that have never sold a home there. And you scratch your head like, how did that person get that listing? Right. And so, you know, it happens all the time. So it doesn't always necessarily mean that the dominant listing agent has to always dominate. You know, you talking with a seller and they do bring up, well, I see that, you know, XYZ agent sells a lot of homes every year. Simply just level shift them to I appreciate, and yes, that agent is a very great agent. We're acknowledging that agent. We're going to align there. And yet what I'm hearing you say is you just want to get your home sold in the least amount of time for the most money. Is that correct? Well, that's exactly why we need to get together, so I can show you how I'm going to go ahead and do that for you and make that work, right? What's best for you? And then I'm going to close for the appointment, you know, Monday or Tuesday at 4. So sellers want basically 3 things, right? Number 1, they want to know how much can they get for their home. Number 2, how quickly can you do it? And number 3, what are they going to work? What are they going to walk away with? What's their net going to be, right? Everything outside of that, yeah, it's a lot of fluff about track record or at least other agents having market share. But if you can deliver to them, when you and I get together, I'm going to share with you 3 things. 1, how much I'm going to net you. 2, what we're going to list it for. And 3, the time frame. Right? So let's go ahead and get together so I can show you what I'm talking about. And then just close for the appointment.
So he level shifted, basically level shifted on that, right? I love that, dude. Jim.
Yeah. I was going to say, you know, I grew up in that marketplace. I mean, I still do it. You know, I walk out of listings and there goes Mike walking out right before me. You know, you're like, oh shit, here we go again. The God honest truth though, that's what excites me. You know, nothing feels better than walking out of the competitive listing with a signed listing agreement, right? I mean, ultimately, you know, in our business, it's just as much as, you know, getting an agreement signed or anything. But, you know, I try to go in there. I'm a big firm believer of people like working with people that they like. I mean, they want to surround themselves with someone that has similar qualities and thinks the same way that they do. So I figure out what their drivers are. You know, what's their family makeup? What do they like to do on the weekends? How can I relate to these people? You know, so yeah, you got to do some Facebook stalking. You got to do some LinkedIn things. See people that you know in common. I mean, just go above and beyond to figure out what their real drivers are and then portray that in a non-creepy fashion. I was looking at your Facebook, but no, but just figure out exactly what relates to them and what, you know, what and how you can relate to them, and then go in there and be that charming, you know, salesperson you are. Ultimately, you're a salesperson. You're not selling their house. You're selling your relationship to them. You're selling everything, all the value that you can bring to them. Figure out what they're really, like Jeff's kind of said, what their pain points are, what their biggest factors are, and focus on that. Build your plan, build your presentation about that. You know, we have on our side, I mean, almost 3 to 4 different listing packets that we go on depending on what kind of person. Is it a family, a friend? Is this a cold call? Is this a lead? Is this a Zillow contact? You know, whatever it is, go in there and build that emphasis, build it around that actual relationship. And then ultimately, go above and beyond. I mean, especially in the younger years of your career, like when you're really, really growing things, is you can give that extra level of service and, you know, figuring out, hey, let me call that, you know, that junk contractor, or let me get my handyman over there just to take care of this leak before you even think about putting it on the market. Bringing value to these people, making them feel that you're really on their side and that you're really going to go to battle for them is ultimately what they, you know, I think at least that they really want. So I think, you know, kind of portraying everything Jeff and Tandra are saying, and, you know, bringing and putting in your own spin and, you know, building that relationship is, you know, it's fail proof ultimately.
You know, one thing I'll
So-
just add in, I'll just add one thing, Jared, is, and that's good stuff, Jim, is, you know, when you get that type of objection, I guess, if you have, or when a seller asks you that, you know, some of the greatest questions that I've learned is in the dialogue of this is one simple question is, well, how will you know when you've hired the right agent, right? Or what will you expect in the next agent you choose? Or what would you expect from the agent you choose? And then, so by asking the questions like that, they're going to simply deliver to you what it is that they want. And then you better basically listen and then write everything down that they want and then bring in a presentation based upon what they want. So in other words, what will you expect from the next agent you choose or you choose? And they say, well, you know, I really want an agent that has a good track record. Well, then you better be bringing in all those statistics. Well, I want an agent that, you know, has an aggressive open house plan. Okay, great. Then you better go ahead and deliver them in an open house plan, right? Because they're going to tell you how they want to be sold, more or less, or they want to tell you how they're going to choose someone. And we just build it by asking the good questions, right? It's the quality of your answers is going to come from the quality of your questions. And,
Always.
you know, in the conversation, it's not about telling, it's about asking questions. And the better that you are asking questions, the more you're going to be able to get from the seller. And then you're going to be able to present what exactly they want. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Jeff, that's a good point. One question that I always ask too is, tell me about your last experience buying or selling. When was the last time and how many times have you bought and sold? And then I say, what was it like for you when you did it? Did you like the experience? And then I get to learn more about the process in their mind and what they know and what they don't know. And they
Great
actually
question.
open up. They like that question. They like usually open up about that. So.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of both their comments too, I think Jeff hit the nail on the head. Is I like to talk. You know, I'm a sociable person. Shut the hell up. I say that to myself in my head all the time, and I laugh about it when I walk out. I'm like, you told yourself to shut the hell up again. Because ultimately, it's not about me. It's about the seller. You know, ask those questions, have them dialogue and that information, have those probing questions that are going to open these people up ready. And that's what you want to focus on. So if you go in there and you want 5 things to get across, focus on those. If you only have 5 things to say, you're going to get the information. And the more that you open up the dialogue and you ask these engaging questions, the more and more information is going to come out. And then you're going to, exactly like Jeff said, you're going to figure out what these people need. You're going to build out your presentation and build out your marketing plan and bring it in there based off of that. And their eyes are just going to go, well, why should I go anywhere else? This is everything that I want, plus some. He's right here. She's right here. Let's sign this paperwork. Let's get going.
Love it. What's the best way to get and present higher end listings? And I want to drop this. If you guys are on a team, you have maybe marketing people. If you don't, you better be at a brokerage as marketing services. And one of our raving fans is our marketing department. They can create presentations for you. And I heard Jim drop, hey, I got 3 different presentations. You got to make sure you're playing in that game. Services today are more important than ever. All right. So the question is, what's the best way to get and present to higher end listings? Whoever wants to answer that.
I'll start off by saying that our average price point's right around $450. You know, my goal of mine for heading into 2022 is to really break in more to the luxury brand. So I've been studying this a little bit recently to figure out how I can break into that, higher luxury. Like we take $1 million plus listings, but I want to build that business. But I'm going to lean on the other 2 here to kind of give a little bit more of advice, not to throw you on the spot, but what I'm really seeing ultimately, what I'm finding out is that you just need to innovate yourself into that marketplace. You need to be at those events. You need to be at those broker opens. You need to know the product inside and out. You need to be able to talk price per square foot in different condo buildings and different homes on different streets, everything along those lines. And then also ultimately start hosting open houses there. Start meeting the people that are coming in that are looking at properties like this, figuring out what houses that they're looking into, get more information for them. Start surrounding yourself and inundating yourself into that marketplace. That's really the only way to do it. You don't become $1 million listing agent really just by waking up or watching HGTV or whatever. You have to surround yourself and build yourself into that. And that's honestly been one of the most challenging things that I personally have been running into, is how to take our brand from where we are, which is, a good real estate brand right now, but to the next level, to where I'm selling $10-15 million penthouse condos. That's what we want to do. Ultimately, I want to increase my purchase price, sell less houses, and make more money. So, but that's based off of my experience and what I'm working at right now, what I've been saying. So, Jeff, Tandra. Anybody?
Tandra, Jeff or Tandra? Yep, you guys go. Jeff, go.
Okay, Tandra, go ahead. Ladies first.
Yeah, so I am certainly not doing luxury listings. I'm right around the 425 mark for my average sale price. But one thing that you said is just surrounding yourself with the people that are buying those properties in those areas. And you can go on to Bright and see who the listing agents are in the office that are doing those luxury listings and talk to them about that. In the areas that you want to do luxury listings and get, learn from them. That's one of the things with Keller Williams, is that everybody is willing to share. A lot of people are willing to share best practices. One thing we also have is the marketing plans with the luxury markets. You can do landing pages for those listings. There's presentations that are available. Having a listing presentation to show is good, but also where are you going to get the buyers for those luxury listings? They're going to want to see that too, because they're not going to sell as quickly as some of the other smaller, dollar points.
Don't sell yourself short. You're going today over $1 million one. You have another million. You have high end versus 800, 900 too. One of the things you're doing, your center of influence, is you're reaching out more to your center of influence now. What's happening to your price point?
Well, it's going up because, they're going to refer you leads that way because they're seeing what you're doing. You have to say, hey, I have a buyer that's looking for $1.3 million, putting that out there on Facebook. People see that you have these buyers in those price points too. So you have to let people know what you're doing, and then they'll trust you more.
Share that Facebook post that you did really well. People are asking about that. Give them an example, your buyer, what happened, that post.
Which one?
One that says I have 4 buyers, and guess, all of a sudden people.
Oh yeah, no, I got a lot of referrals just from my local group of moms that I know in the community, listing appointments as well as buyers that are looking to the area, just to say, hey, these are my 5 buyers that are looking in a specific area. And I started marketing that on my social media pages, and people started referring me business because of it.
Do not be afraid to post on social media that you have buyers in these price points in these areas. We were shocked the amount of referrals that we got off of it. Jeff, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, the luxury high-end market, I don't always look at it as it's a lot different. So a lot of us sometimes take on that, there are different people, or is it different? Yeah. But the reality is, if you can just prospect, if you're calling a $400,000 neighborhood or calling a $4 million neighborhood, the script is ultimately going to be the same, and having the same conversations typically going to be the same. Just don't be afraid of it because there's another 0 there, right? Or whatever it may be. So understand that actually it's easier to list a $2 million home than a $200,000 home. It's easier, and the conversations are easier. So number one is I wouldn't be reluctant of calling them. I would do the same exact thing that they're doing. 400,000 is 4 million. Make the phone call. If it's expired, 4 million, call it, right? Go through the same exact questions and script. Some of the things, if you want to break into that market, there's some different strategies and things that we do. For example, go into your local tax records or whoever you get your tax information from, title company, or I don't know where you guys get it from, but just search under, like in our market, if I search, what we did was we just built out a database between 1 million and 10 million assessments. So anyone that has an assessment, right, land and building combined between 1 and 10 million, we went and segmented that group and said, okay, I want to bust into this group. Went out and got their emails, went out and got their cell phone numbers, and we built the database around it. And now we have different campaigns that run to that. And we'll do a simple text to this group, right? A simple text that would just simply say something like, another home in your neighborhood just sold that may have affected your value. Would you like an updated valuation? And you'll get, it's a simple text. You'll get sellers in that high end will say, sure. And then the next text is, okay, no problem. Updating my records. Can you tell me if you've made any improvements? Sure, we put a new kitchen in, whatever. At that point, if they're engaging, then we call them. And then we engage them about, have they thought about selling? If they were to move, where would they go next? And get in that conversation. But it's just a simple text message. That works in their $200,000 neighborhood or a $2 million neighborhood, right? Either way. But we identified those, just go into a neighborhood and specifically see, okay, here's the assessments and get those databases. And then just start calling them, have an intention to communicate, become the resource for it.
Jeff, next question. How to get warm leads with a good ROI? I have 2 questions on that. Can you just share what you're using for lead sources?
So how to get, say that again, how to get an ROI?
How to
on
get a good
warm
return on your lead sources, warm leads or good ROI on leads? What are you doing for lead sources?
Like internet leads we're referring to, buyer leads,
Yeah,
seller
What
leads?
internet sites are you using? Is it all warm leads? Is it door knocking leads? What's your lead sources?
Well, I mean, where our business comes from, majority of it is going to come from our past clients and centers of influence, right? Our current database, our center of influence, referrals from that group. So we're continuing to build that, nurture that, ask for referrals, and build that there. So that's our number one source. Our other source is, depending if it's seller side or buyer side, I mean, we're still doing a lot in the expired listing side, right? So most of our lead sources are outbound versus inbound. Now we have inbound leads as well, where we, certainly pay for leads, for example, a Zillow spend, or, most of our leads that we get, because we're listing agents, so we get a lot of listings. So therefore the buyers come to us online through those sources.
Are you still using Real Geeks?
We have Real Geeks websites. Yeah. That's our CRM that we use. But we don't do a lot of PPC or anything like that, where we're actually spending a lot of money there. Our leads mostly are coming from repeat and referral business, represents about 60 to 65% of it. So that we don't have to spend a lot of money for that because we're building our database.
And how much business do you think you'll do this year?
We're about 74 million so far. So we should hit about 150 million this year in total volume, about 250 units. We're 123 units right now.
How about the next question? Try to get through all these. How to work with FSBOs in a hot marketplace? Whoever wants to jump in on that. Is anybody working with FSBOs right now for sale by owners? Anybody?
Give that one to Jeff.
Jeff, you working any for sale by owners right now, or are they ignoring you?
We're still, we are listing a few for sale by owners right now. There's a few of them. We're coming from a place of contribution with them right now. We're not, coming into them, making them wrong, where, you can't sell it. We can get you more. Look, the reality is they probably can sell it. So we're coming from a place of contributing to them, asking them how we can be best supportive. One of the things we've done, a strategy we've done open houses for sale by owners, where we host their home open and invite our database, our buyers, and the neighbors to their open house. We make an arrangement with them that if we sell it, they pay us 3%, for that specific day. We put our sign out, we put our flags out, we do the whole thing. And that's been successful. I mean, we don't list their property right away, but after they don't have success on their own, guess who they list with? They come back to us. We've done that a couple of times this year. So that's just a strategy. Think about that. If they're not doing open houses, tell them you'll host one for them. The thing with for sale by owner, it's just coming from a place of contribution, and it's building relationship, right? And it's doing that over a period of time. It's not something that typically is going to happen right away. You got to think about the mindset of the for sale by owner. What is it? Well, they don't believe in realtors. They want to save the commission. They can do it themselves. They don't need our help. They know it all. They're greedy. Whatever the thing is you want to come out, right? They just know that they don't really need us. And that's okay. Let them know they don't need us. And yet there's different things you can help them with. For example, call for sale by owner and say, I'm just curious, if a buyer comes in tomorrow and wants to buy the home and they want to write an offer, do you have a contract that you use? Do you use a contract form? What would you write it on? I don't know. I'd have to call my attorney. Well, I'll tell you what, let me provide you a copy of our contract. Just cross out the realtor side. This is something that you could use. There you go. Just curious, have you had a home inspection on your home yet? Well, no, I was waiting for the buyer. Well, you might want to consider getting an inspection done up front. Get your home certified, right? Go ahead and if there's any issues, go get it fixed. And then a buyer that walks in, you can provide them a pre-certified home or home inspections you've already done. Any issues or defects, you can show them you've corrected them. Now the homeowner can come in and you don't have to worry about the contingency, like educating them a little bit. They love that, right? Oh, I never thought about that. So little things like that help you get for sale by owner listings.
Love it. Next question. RSP follow-up process. If anybody's doing direct mail and using RSP, what is your follow-up process? RSP is a company some of us use for direct mail, and McCann's got us onto it. What's your follow-up process?
We're launching a few test RSP campaigns in 2 separate neighborhoods coming up. So I don't really have the exact analytics or data on it, but ultimately what we're doing is we're not investing into an area without an actual game plan behind it. You just can't send continuous mail and just expect the phone to ring. So how are you marketing around the marketing? What are you doing? Are you door knocking those areas? Are you bringing, I don't know who I just heard this from, but somebody got a local water ice truck on an open house that they were doing. And they did a pre-exclusive open house and had the water ice truck come down. So all the kids came running down to get free water ice. And, here comes mommy and daddy making sure that, water ice is okay to eat or whatever. And, they ultimately have to strike up conversations. So for us, I don't have any exact numbers, but we have a full-fledged plan that we're going to put into place over an 8-week period of marketing around our marketing. It's taking it to another level rather than just sending flyers. What else are you doing? Door hangers? Are you knocking on these doors? Are you hosting a local community event? Are you doing a giveaway or anything along those lines? You have to just piggyback off of that piece of that mailer. So, I just don't want to throw money out the window by just, having an RSP campaign. So anytime we're doing it, we have a plan of action behind that to support that.
Cool. Tandra, can you drop what we came up with recently that we're going to launch, which I think is a good idea, which we're going to launch a sprint campaign, a direct mail campaign to our center of influence?
Yeah, it's going to be quarterly to our sphere of influence that we personally have known them, but maybe we have done a bad job at keeping in touch with them regularly. And it'll be both of us. So maybe Jeremy will be on the marketing with people that we know that are our friends. Some of them might be past clients. And also the areas that we're farming with the RSP, we're not just doing the RSP as well. We're doing calls to those markets as well. And if there's buyers that are particularly looking in a specific area, like in a community, as long as the buyer's okay with us saying their first name, we'll actually say, Courtney and Matt are looking in your neighborhood. Like, who do you know? They're a great family looking in this area. So might not be their house, but they might have a neighbor or someone in the community they might know of looking to sell. So that's kind of the 2 marketing steps that we're doing.
So one of the things on the objection handlers we're doing is, did you know that you can sell your house and still buy a house in today's marketplace? You will not be homeless. That's one, right? We have 3, and then we have our quarterly message. We have 3 messages that we believe that listing prospects have in their head that they're not telling us that we need to get in front of it. And one of the objections we're hearing is, if I sell my house for top dollar, where do I go? Right? That's one. And there's 2 more other ones that we're going to drop in this sprint campaign. Tandra, where are you going to drop those direct mail out of?
Oh,
What software?
Command. We're using Command. Yeah.
So if you guys
And
don't know that,
they'll be they're not letters, but they'll be postcards.
and you categorized your people by what letters? How'd you do it?
Well, there'll be
A.
A's, B's, and C's. So A is more somebody that would refer you business if they knew someone looking. A B, they might refer you business, and a C is somebody that you're not sure. You haven't really established a big, relationship with them on a business aspect yet.
And you're calling A's and B's, C's are just kind of out there, right?
Well, we're calling Cs too.
Okay. All right. So how do you increase your sales price? I think we answered that. What are your best ways to pay for leads that have good phone numbers and emails? Anybody want to share what you guys are using to get phone numbers and emails? Anybody?
I don't know if everybody's familiar with this, but at least on our Bright MLS system, if everyone's relatively local, within the MLS, there's actually a system called Remine, REMINE, that's available, and it's actually included with your Bright subscription. We've actually been having a ton of success recently. We have a development division within our team that's, just locates and identifies opportunities for builders and developers, and they've been having that and using that to pretty good success. White Pages, freepeoplesearch.com, I think, is another one as well. So these are all just free tools that we have access to. There's other more expensive and, more audited sort of ways to go about that. But ultimately with the internet these days, if you do enough digging and enough reverse property searching and different things along those lines, you're going to find the contact. It's just about putting in the work and doing it. You can write an address down and all you do is have it there. But ultimately, if you're not figuring out a way to, make contact with these people, what's the point of having the address? So.
We've
Yeah,
using
you have any-
Remind as well. Remind we're using a lot too.
Cool. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, the free sources online, whitepages.com, there's, peoplefinders.com. They're all the typical ones that you can get that. The things you want to subscribe to or get databases, there's different, we have agentday1.com. We use them. We use Data Masters. We also have Land Voice. So Land Voice allows you to do neighborhood searches, and then obviously they pull in our expired listing for sale by owner listings, pre-foreclosure listings, plus neighborhood searches. You just do a draw around, Polygon or however which way you can do that, or you can put a street in and they'll pull in. So those are all sources. They're paid, those, but the free ones, Spokio.com, People Finders, White Pages, it's typical where we'll get phone numbers, and then there's emails as well.
I'll add some: Skip Genie, Offers, OFFRS, Spokio, Truth Finder, Everyone Answers, Prospect Boss.
Also, Exact Dial we're using right now too. Exact Dial is a paid source, but they get some great mobiles. I mean, really, really good. Exactdial.com.
All right. Next up, how to get more commission? How to get 6%? Who wants to deal with that one?
I can. Go ahead, Jeff.
Now you go. I was waiting for you to pick this up anyway. So.
First of all, you have to make it a standard for yourself. Like, that's what my commission is. And we pay 3 and 3, and you have to believe in that. You have to be able to deliver a service that shows that you can provide that. But it starts with the right mindset. Too many agents are too weak, I think, right now, that they're giving up. The moment seller says, well, we do it at 5, they'll say, well, sure, or they'll just give up right away. So you have to start with a mindset that is your commission you charge. That's your standard. The reality, though, when it comes to commissions, is you don't get paid until you sell it or net them the amount of money they're looking for. So the reality of things is that we don't get paid unless we deliver the results, right? And understanding how to become a little bit better scripted around those. So each of us have to learn at least, I would say, 3 to 5 different objection handlers regarding commissions to learn how to handle those. And once you learn how to handle them, your confidence goes up. And once your confidence goes up, a lot of times you don't actually get those objections, which is interesting. But the reality of things is when someone says to you, or seller says to you, I want you to cut your commission, you don't need to get, a lot of times agents get too emotional in the responses, and you simply just need to say, I'm sorry, I won't do that. Our commission is 6%. And many times they're just trying to get you to respond for the fact of doing it, but by not being emotional and responding by, that's not something you'll do. Sometimes most times they'll say, okay, that's cool, no problem. Just like that.
So someone just dropped in the chat line, please email office statistics. Every month at our sales meeting, we have the office statistics that you guys can use. If you don't know how to get those, email the dot at our office, our director of agent services, and they'll tell you where we get that in our lore report, we call them. And you can see the office statistics of where we stand. Also, we're gonna be dropping marketing material. You could put that in requests into mainline kwagents.com, or if you're in Philly, mykwresources.com. You can drop in there a recommendation that you want monthly stats. We give those stats to in the reporting, but if there's something else that you want to see, you can drop that. Honing your negotiation skills, just not getting offers, best terms on inspections. All right, so what are you guys seeing right now that you want as a listing agent? Someone's on this call right now. It's 12 o'clock right now. Can we go 10 more minutes or are you guys done? Jeff, Jim, Tandra, do you have 10 minutes or no?
I'm good.
I have about 5. I just postponed my 12. So.
Let's go five minutes. Jeff, you only have 5, or Jim, Tandra will go 5 minutes. Who wants to answer that question? What are you looking for right now? You want an offer?
I was just talking to another top agent out in Bucks County, and we were just having this conversation. But honestly, right now, the agent that I'm working with is more important than ever to make sure that the local that we're going to get this deal done ultimately, and be on a certain somewhat level playing field, and have an understanding that we're both here to get the job done. Ultimately, there's a lot of offers throwing out there. People are paying more than they can pay, and they're putting wording into their agreements that they truly, really don't want to deal with. And ultimately, a house on the market that goes back on the market because of an inspection or something along those lines is going to have a mark on it. You're not going to get that number. So making sure that you have a full understanding of your counterpart, their cooperating broker and their buyer and their process here is more important than ever. So I'm telling that to my sellers as well when I'm going in. You need to have a good, reputable agent that understands the marketplace, and the agents out there that can understand, what objections are going to eventually get presented here, and be able to work through that stuff. So that's important. And, terms are just as important as price as well right now, especially with the flexibility that people are needing and putting their house under contract without identifying a new home. So making sure that, there's flexibility and it's actually written and cleared out in the contract is also very important. Seeing all sorts of crazy shit, Jared, to be honest with you. That's just the tip of the iceberg, but yeah, Tanya.
I think that having the right co-op agent is definitely key. Also the financials, and making sure that if that appraisal doesn't come, it comes light, can that buyer come to the table with a difference in appraisal is important. Walking through my clients, the options of each buyer that comes in there, like the highest price isn't always going to be the answer. Or maybe there's some terms that we're seeing out there. Maybe we can drive that one buyer that we really want to work with. How far can we maybe negotiate? Just because they put an offer in maybe isn't the final offer, right? So you have all these offers in there, but going back to that one person that you really want to work with, and maybe they just need to tweak their offer a little bit and see if they will do it. So that's what we're looking for, strong financials with a good co-op agent, and are the terms going to little contingencies as possible, right?
What's the text app you use? I got a guy on the line. I'm drawing a blank right now in the chat line. What's the text app?
So we do it, a couple things. We text typically through our CRM, through our Real Geeks platform. It's a texting direct there. So that's where we're actually texting right out of that. So it's not an actual app. It's just it's part of our website, our CRM.
And what's your CRM? You want to know?
That's the Real Geeks website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, I know you want to go. I know you got to go. I really, really appreciate it. There's a couple at the end here. I'm going to answer your guys' question. Actually, I think I got everybody. Jim Roach just dropped his phone number in there. Thank you. Tandra, Jeff, I know you guys are super busy. I appreciate it. I respect you guys. Everybody on this call respect you. I appreciate you guys taking an hour out of your time today to invest in yourself and your business. If you guys want to chat more about it, shoot me an email at jeremycbowers@KW. If you have anything else, if you're not with our company, we'd love to talk to you. If you're with our company and there's something else you want to see, drop me an email and some ideas, and you'll be heard. That's what makes this company so amazing. And I see a lot of thank yous coming in, so it makes you feel good. And if you're on a panel, you guys can be on panels too. The panelists always learn. We always think they know everything. These three people do not know everything. They learned things today that they didn't know before. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate having me on.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah.